And as the federal government sets out spending and revenue for 2024, the budget deficit sits about 9 trillion. FDI inflows have waned. The Nigerian EY, one of the largest professional services networks, earlier in November launched its Africa attractiveness report showing FDI inflows across Africa. Well, joining us now to analyze this is Damilola Aloba, partner and consumer industry sector leader, EY West Africa. Join us right here in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Ladi.
Great to have you. So, yeah, we've set our plans, spending plans, the federal government for next year, and we've seen that massive deficit there, 9 trillion. And definitely we've been talking about FDI, inflows into Nigeria. We've seen the president travel to different countries, showing investors that, come into Nigeria, bring your money in here, you'll be able to take your money out, you'll be able to make profit, leaving. But break down your report, at this time, how Nigeria fared and most African countries.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the first thing to say is that FDI inflow in 2022 increased by 64%. I think there's a recovery from past years. If you know, in recent years, FDIs in Africa has faced significant challenges due to global shocks. And one of that is the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, that has dampened investor confidence over that period. So what we have now is a case where there's that recovery from those sectors that have faced vulnerabilities, like tourism, hospitality, even manufacturing. And thus, apart from the fact that there's a rise of, there's an increased inflow of about 64%, there's also about 194 billion in total that came into Africa in 2022. Now, looking at that, significant, the leading FDI destination in Africa in 2022 happens to be Egypt, Northern Africa. And followed by Northern Africa, you have Southern Africa, led by South Africa. In fact, South Africa led Sub-Saharan Africa. And the third is Morocco. So Egypt attracted $107 billion. South Africa attracted $27 billion. And Morocco did $21 billion in inflow. And also, of course, these inflows are captured by projects based on our report. So the fourth in that line is Kenya. Kenya attracted just $2 billion in dollars, and Nigeria also attracted $2 billion. Of course, in terms of projects, Kenya attracted more projects than Nigeria. Now, the other prominent thing to note is that in Africa, the clean tech space seems to attracted the most investment, the largest investment, FDI inflow.
Clean tech,
renewables.
Clean tech, yeah.
So the renewable space, Africa is gradually gravitating towards the green revolution, moving away from fossil fuels. And of course, to that extent, a lot of investment is coming. South Africa also has energy crisis and all of that. A lot of capital came into that sector, the largest being again in Egypt, followed by South Africa, Morocco, and Kenya. So clean tech followed by the business technology sector and also the business services sector. The mobility sector also came second for the first time, in 2022. But the prominent ones in order of sequence or rank is the clean tech, technology, mobility, and business, services. Now, one important thing to also state is that the Western European countries seems to be the one investing aggressively in Africa. So you have the likes of UK, France, Germany, Switzerland playing a prominent role amongst the top 10, and also Northern America, which is US, North America, which is US, and China and India remains within the top 10 bracket. India just moved to the top 10. But what is important to state here is the prominence of UAE that invested $50 billion in 2022 alone in Africa. So that's the largest investor in 2022.
And I'm sure they moved from what level? What level were they before?
So the very immaterial level, below 10 billion. In fact, US that has been investing in Africa made the largest investment in 2022 of 7 billion. So between 2018 and 2022, US invested approximately $7 billion, being the highest. So you can imagine. So I think this happens to be the major findings. All other countries also attracted investment,
Right.
but I think those are the prominent
Prominent one.
ones.
Well, talking about prominence now, we see Egypt attracted the largest chunk.
Absolutely.
In 2022. Talk to me about why the investors are finding Egypt so attractive, or found them so attractive in 2022.
I think investment goes to areas that they find comfortable. Egypt, I think, is investor friendly based on our findings. And then they pay a lot of attention to promoting investments, what you call investment promotions. And countries, we also found out from the research that countries that encourage or promote economic diversification attracted a lot of investments. You can see that apart from clean tech, Egypt is also prominent in the tech space, in the automotive space, and same as Morocco. And of course in the business services space. So for this reason, as well as the availability of requisite infrastructure, these are things that have endeared Egypt to a lot of foreign
making
investors.
them look so good, to put your money in.
Let me not forget to also say that Africa too is also doing a lot of cross-border investments. About 12% of African countries also invested in Africa. So I mean, 12% of total FDIs came from African cross-border deals.
Cross-border design. And what kind of countries are we seeing here, and where are they investing?
South Africa, Nigeria. They mostly invested in tech, financial services, and also tech. And business services.
That's taking your investment, say, from Egypt now, and you're taking it to, say, Nigeria.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're seeing Nigeria also in that.
Nigeria, a few investments came, about $500 million based on our research.
Quite interesting. All right, at this time, everybody's looking for money at this time. And talk to me about 2023 numbers. It's coming to an end now. What did the report say about 2023?
Well, the report is giving a lot of prominence to some of the future for Africa in terms of attractiveness. So we've seen that by moving away from fossil fuels in the extractive space, a lot of the African countries are now focusing on the critical minerals, and also on earth metals that support electric vehicle manufacturing, and also lithium battery manufacturing and all of that. So we see a gradual gravitation to that line, and there's a lot of funding coming from outside Africa into that space. I think what's also critical is for African governments to accelerate their economic reforms, because that's very important in ensuring that they are attractive enough for investors to come in. You can see that a lot of African countries are facing currency crisis, debt crisis, and all of that. And of course the focus on digitalization, for African countries, and development of critical infrastructure. There's need to provide internet, at least for over 300 million people. We are moving towards the AFCA, which is going to happen very soon. And I dare say that this is the best time for African countries to focus on, managing their public national finances and proper debt management, so that there's no credit default that will make, them attractive to.
And talking about, attractiveness now, for 2024, the government's planning 27 trillion naira expenditure going into 2024. We're seeing the budget deficit there about 9 trillion. They're forecasting that they'll make at least 18 trillion. Talk to me about how FDI plays into all these plans, and if we're going to see an improvement of FDI inflows into 2024.
Well, I think so far this government has made some, for Nigeria, this government has made some bold decisions, starting from the subsidy removal and to the FX and also appointments of
some say it's subsidy reduction.
So, well, I mean, so they say. But I think from where we are right now, 6 months, a lot of key decisions have been made. And I think that with the focus on those economic reforms, looking at even from the oil and gas industry, refineries are going to start operating and all of that. I believe increasing government revenue is the first level. Ensuring that oil production, which we've always relied on, continues to increase to record levels that can enhance our books, and also ensuring that Nigeria is, free of insecurity, and encouraging, businesses. So I'll say that the tech, a couple of sectors would needs to be focused on. For example, agriculture, technology, and even industrialization, ensuring that there's electricity to even support all these things we're talking about. So I would say focus. Government needs to pay attention. We should shy away from just managing our finances and our debts. We should have targets of saying, look, we also want to achieve certain growth, high growth, GDP growth levels beyond where we are. But I dare say that there needs to be a lot of seriousness on our part as a nation.
From what you've seen in 2022, 2023, give me a forecast for 2024 for FDI Inflows.
Well,
if we continue at this pace.
FDIs, I would say that the first thing is to ensure that there's FX liquidity. What are those things that we can export as a country that can attract FDIs? We have comparative advantage in certain commodities. We need to focus on that. I would say industrialization again. We need to focus on our special economic zones and our free trade zones. How can we maximize them in order to be able to produce competitively? And also we have huge human resources. How are we applying them? That's why I'm excited about what's happening within the tech space, where young people are being made productive. So what are we doing with our human resources? We need to make sure that we don't make them redundant, or we encourage skills development to encourage production, and the more we ourselves can export. We have everything we need to export. We need to make sure that these special economic zones become a lot more active. We have free trade zones not doing enough, and so that way we gradually move away from relying on foreign products here and there, to start relying on wearing locals.
So I can buy Nigerian-made ties. Even though I already wear Nigerian-made suits at this time.
Food produced in Nigeria,
right?
And all of that.
Yeah. So much to unpack there. And definitely, we're all looking forward to 2024. Hopefully, we have some kind of soft landing.
Absolutely. I hope so too.
2024. Thank you so much for coming on. Damilola Aloba, partner and consumer industry sector leader, EY West Africa.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you.